So.
Yeah.
Well, really what I want to do is just be authentic in saying that I really believe in this technology. I believe it is the solution to, problems that we face in terms of our environment and
Hmm.
allowing Mother Nature to correct herself after we have exploited her and
Yeah.
really not been in alignment with just the natural order of things.
Hmm.
And I believe that if we are able to help those who are probably the most disenfranchised, then we'll naturally help everybody else. So, it's kind of that thing. I forget the rapper that said it, but there's this rap song that says, "We started from the bottom, now we're here." I don't know if you guys are familiar with that phrase,
Mm.
but truly, if you
I,
can
did,
help
I
the
think that would be a
bottom,
Drake. Yes, no
that,
worries.
oh, who said that? Ian?
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's Ian. Yes, no worries. He's from Toronto. That's
Uh,
where I am in
yeah,
Ontario, Hamilton, Toronto. Yes, no worries. Please continue. Beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And so I really believe that, if we can make some corrections in some spaces where, innovation has always kind of been at the tail of things, and, we can participate in it at the innovation stage, that will help, with that wealth gap for communities that have often been left out. And that's worldwide. It doesn't matter, the color of your skin. I think Kanye came out with a T-shirt recently that said "White Lives Matter," and everybody got all in a frenzy about that. But white lives do matter, and all lives matter. And I think the moment that we can concentrate on the environment and the globe and the world that we live in versus, shades of skin color, we can really get to where we need to be globally.
Hmm.
And so that's why I'm here today to, you know, do my part to facilitate, that engagement worldwide,
Hmm.
working with HBCUs, which are historically Black universities that were put in place in America to help African Americans be involved in things like agriculture and mechanical engineering and all of the other things that they did. If we can be on the front end of this technology, married to, what they have historically done, then we can actually gain some footage in a way of reparations that isn't, just giving people money or some other structure that really is not a building mechanism. And so I'm here to represent that.
Hmm.
I appreciate and understand this technology in a way that's far beyond farming, actually. I
Hmm.
think it can heal people. There's so many things we can do with this technology.
Hmm.
And I want to work together globally for all of, humanity so that we can be a better world
Yes.
versus a world that is destitute and,
Hmm.
all these things that the media says that, we're going to be if we continue down the road that we are on. We need to be proactive in being peaceful,
Hmm.
humanitarian,
Hmm.
and godly. And that is my focus here today.
Hmm.
hmm.
Great.
Yeah, Carla, could you say more about your charitable organization? And the
Yeah.
purposes you have and team you're building.
Absolutely. So I
Yeah.
do have a nonprofit organization called Coinda. We first named it Wakoinda after the movie Wakanda. We named it Wakoinda because we wanted to associate it with a cryptocurrency.
Hmm.
And in the Wakoinda group, we actually taught people with a mock cryptocurrency how that works because a lot of African Americans didn't understand this crypto digital currency. So there were some people that were involved in cryptocurrency that really kind of created this mock environment for us to kind of play with this whole idea of digital currency. And that Wakoinda group is on Facebook. and it's diverse. It's not just Black people, but it started out with a guy. His name is Lamar Wilson. He's been in Black Enterprise magazine. He's an entrepreneur, but he started, I believe, in technology, tech in the tech space, and so he's gravitated and moved on and done a whole bunch of other different things, trying to educate African Americans on economics in a way that we have not been educated before. And that's been very successful. And so now we have this, what coined a group that is focused on building or changing at least the trajectory of wealth using agriculture, because historically that's what we've known and we've done well is agriculture. So now we need to be able to move that into the century that we are in now and use this technology to facilitate some innovation and creativity in that space. And I'm very grateful to Richard and Aubrey for, allowing us to participate in this on the front end versus the tail end, which is typically what we've experienced as, people in the diaspora, realizing there are other people who have had similar experiences around the world, and so we need to be global. We need to work together and forget about this colorism. The colorism is the most ignorant concept that the globe has accepted, because there are people in place that want us to be so bothered by that we're not doing things that really improve humanity overall. So I'm very pleased that we have this opportunity, and I hope you all will understand and work with us as we continue to try to start building a way to be a part of the gross national product, the gross domestic product, and use this technology to help us move forward to actually be producers versus just consuming products made by other people. And I hope you guys understand that, and I appreciate the time. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Aubrey.
Thank you.
There we go. Sorry, I was muted.
You guys hear me? Did you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, no, we
Perfect.
wonderful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of agreement. There are people on the call that I'm sure are right with you in so many of the, insightful, contribution that you've made, Carla, to the discussion. And I wanted to ask, actually, do you know if Daniel's on the call? I just was wondering if he was going to join.
Daniel, no.
No, okay, Daniel. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of our purposes here is to mobilize demonstration projects with the SolaRoof technology, and of course we really want one in the U.S. of A. Operational. There's been development. What we need now is operational project, and I know it seems like that's shouldn't be a problem, because our demonstration projects can be very low cost and very easily done. But I think there's some kind of a mystery here, what we're facing, and it's global, right? Because I've been doing this all around the world. Is that there's a resistance to the open, revealing the nature of this technology, of this invention. And so, in the USA, we need one demo, and we need it soon. And I believe that Carla can mobilize this demo, and she has very good lifetime friends that are near Washington, D.C. It's actually in Maryland. And I believe that one of our focuses could be to get a demo project happening. And each one of these projects needs the support of the global network, right? And it's not just us, right, who are connected with SolaRoof, but all of us can mobilize our own circles of friends.
Yeah.
If we truly want to, right?
Yeah.
We're truly passionate about seeing bubble technology, bubble tech going viral, right? Not being a preoccupation of a few people who are really thinking about money. They're not thinking about what's happening in this world.
Yeah.
You know, we all need to be so aware that we have little time to avoid spiraling downward into conflict.
Yeah.
Conflict, into famine,
Yeah.
into, you know, a future that is not that far away, and which we have a tremendous inertia that will bring us to this place of disaster, right? Very big disaster.
Yeah.
So, but we can get ahead of that.
Yeah.
We need teams, small teams, not big teams, to take action.
Yeah.
Simple, very simple action, because nothing is easier, you know, really than bubble tech.
Yeah.
We're blowing bubbles, you know, and we even have a program we call it Bubble Fun.
Yeah.
And so, and then of course you have to apply the technology, which really means put it in the roof of a building. These bubble insulation, you know. So some of you don't even really know what I'm talking about here, really, but many do. But we can all see it, and you know, come to our website. And you know, Aubrey has set up a lot of information at our website at PyraPOD.com. That's PYRAPOD.
Means fire.
.com.
Fire in the
Yeah.
pot. Fire in the pot.
It comes from Pyramid.
Yeah.
And yeah, Aubrey, you introduce yourself and say some things about what we're doing, you know, what we're doing right now.
Sure.
It's been a couple of years now I'm working with Aubrey.
Yeah. Well, yeah, welcome. I met Richard 2 years ago after I worked for a solar company, you know, trying to use the sun to heat up the air, right? And I installed the system, but during the process, I injured my hand. You see my hand, 3 fingers, almost, you know, severe, you know, almost cut off. Yeah. So anyway, to normal people, that was a bad thing, but to me, it was a good thing, because at that time I already sensed something is not right. You know, there's something better, right? Something more complete that is there. You know, but I couldn't get out of that company. So then this accident happened, and so that day I remember I was so joyful. You know, you hurt here, but inside you're joyful, because you know that's how God is leading you to another path, right? And then I started doing aquaponics. You know, I do. Margaret knows. We did the aquaponics inside the house, and then the next question is this: what about winter time, right? How can you do aquaponics in winter? So I started to work on greenhouse. You know, I started doing a model, double layer, but I never thought of using bubbles. You know, so anyway, I failed in, you know, playing with the traditional one layer, you know, greenhouse, and then I met Richard. You know, so I remember the moment I saw, you know, the bubbles, you know, being produced and fill a double layer cavity. When I saw it, I said, you know, to myself, this is it, this is it. So so since then I connect with Richard, and I realized this is something that I like to put my life on, you know, because this is something that will change how we do things, right? We have sun up there, right? We have the light and the heat, but we close up our roof, right? We have an opaque roof. We reject the light, reject the heat, right? So when I learned more about SolaRoof, I realized this is it, you know. So we created company. We would like to manufacture, promote idea, not just for money, right? But for the fact that this is, the model actually mimicking the earth, right? Mimicking the water field, right? We have water everywhere, right? Today we talk about water with Marcel. We talk about blue water, which represent the water we see, but we talk about green water, the water that has gone through the transpiration process, right? Clean, right? Yeah. And now I'm living in a place called red water.
Yeah.
Red water.
Wow.
So anyway, I believe as long as we combine the fire with water, the two are extremes, right? But we put them together, work with them, and then create a balanced, steady state. And I believe that's what PyraPOD is all about. Create an environment that work with the sun, work with the water, right? And then just like all the colors of the world, people working together, right? Together we can make a better world. Yeah, that's what I believe.
Absolutely. Aubrey, I am so impressed with you and your drive and diligence. I've never met anyone like you before. I've never known an engineer personally like you. And I've worked with some pretty incredible people, but your drive and your diligence has just really inspired me to stay on course
Yeah.
and really, promote this in a way that has nothing to do with monetary
No.
benefit, but really humanitarian
Yes.
effort that I can devote my life to.
Mhm.
And I think that, Richard has devoted many, many years to
Yes.
this and has stayed excited. He calls, and every time I speak with him, he has passion
Yes.
and just this really great attitude. And so, this has been nothing that is really important comes easy. And if
Mhm.
it were, then everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
But this is a journey. This is a
Yes.
lifelong journey that I didn't realize was lifelong.
Yeah.
I thought it would be easy, but you know, I'm very happy that
Mhm.
you're on the team, Aubrey. I think that you came on what 2020, maybe? Was it 2020?
Yeah, 2020. That's the
Yeah,
yeah.
and
That's
then you just took off and started doing things, and I was just
because
like,
I
who
felt
is
I
this
was
guy?
left behind.
Oh my
Right?
gosh. It was like, who is this guy? Who is this dude? This Asian dude. And it's just such a wonderful joy for me to know that you're spiritually centered and grounded,
Mhm.
a man of faith, a godly man, and I appreciate you, and I just want everyone to know that you are special to me, and I appreciate everything that you've done to help
Mhm.
move this SolaRoof technology along with
Yeah.
Richard and his vision and just the camaraderie between the two of you is like a brotherhood that I'm watching, and it's wonderful, and I thank you for it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I second that. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, yes, indeed. And I must say, of course, Aubrey's most important partner is Margaret, and Margaret's on the call with us, his wife.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wouldn't be getting anything done without my wife Geraldine. Really so involved, so supportive, and so this is a community that really looks for families, to prosper, right?
Mhm.
Families and communities.
Yeah.
So, and I've focused the technology on food.
Mhm.
This technology can build all kinds of buildings.
Yeah.
But the thing that's coming up so quickly
Yes.
that we need to focus on is the collapse of our food system, our
Yes.
global food system.
Yes.
And we have to be aware we are in an overshoot.
Yeah.
We're in an overshoot. And the more we overshoot, which means, overshoot is, well, everything looks good. Our Austrian people here know the mountainous, you walk out on the thing that can collapse, right? You don't realize that underneath you, no support.
Yeah.
And when it goes, it's all of a sudden, collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
So now, as I mentioned, earlier, when I left Norway, and I'm so happy that Anne Worstad is here. But also when I left Norway, I showed up at Green Fire, organic farm, RE, to follow, continue the development. And the focus was that I was shifting my focus to small, not industrial application, but family farms, and even just families, not even farms, right? But people who want to grow their own food. And I'd like Ari to say a few words. And before he does, though, I'm going to say a little bit.
Okay, we can now hear you. Corin is here, just to let you know. Okay.
Oh yeah, Corin.
Yeah.
Okay, great, Corin. Corin is in Bermuda, so hey, we're getting more and more of the scope here.
Yeah.
But
good day, guys. Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for staying the course.
Yes.
All righty, good day, everybody.
Yes.
Ari, why don't you just say a few words? Is a very spiritual, insightful person that's added a lot to the whole vision, what we're doing.
Well, thanks, Richard. I mean, it's
recording in progress.
Quite a journey for humanity, just to put it out there. I know we've all come together in the spirit of people matter, the environment matter, health matters, and so forth. And why can't the powers that be embrace the intuitive infrastructure of humanity it did a heck of a good job for about, since the beginning. All of a sudden, we got these industrial geniuses that think they can just fix everything that wasn't broken, So we got a major battle within ourselves, the irrational impulse to create or destroy, So I just give thanks. Like I said, we've been able to stay the course together, embracing that intuitive impulse to balance the destruction that's out there. So my force is very, I would say, anthropological, so to speak. And yes, spirit is a part of anthropology itself. And we can see how man and in the inventive destructive impulse, how do we balance that? So that's where I'm at. I came in as an anthropologist. I came in primarily dealing with that destructive impulse that we have, turning tools of progress into weapons of destruction is like second nature. And so we have to be that generation that hits the wall to change the narrative. And I do feel, like I said, with the balance we have here with Richard's of intuition to conquer ourselves, that's what keeps this team alive, makes it very extraordinary. Versus other industrial or scientific or engineering teams that may not have that impulse. This team definitely has that impulse. So I give a lot of respect to that. And I think we reached that final frontier now with, I think, is it Carla taking the lead?
Yeah.
Yeah, if men can't do it, I think a woman can do it.
Yes.
Okay. That's side by side.
Yeah, actually, that is women are very powerful and influential, but when it comes to actually doing the grit and the dirty, heavy lifting, we couldn't do that without the men. And so I would never discount you all, but I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
Yes, you can, and you can do that heavy lifting. I know that. And let's have Anne speak, and then and Richard Hogan, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Because you both are part of the history of all of this evolving.
Yeah.
Please, Anne.
Yes. So I'm in Norway.
Mm-hmm.
Met Richard in 2004 in London.
Mm-hmm.
At an open space conference. And we both wanted to talk about eco-villages. I moved to Norway to an eco-village a few years later and created quite a enthusiasm for the technology here. And it has been used in a few pilots here. Unfortunately, it has not used the full potential. And it cut Richard off along the way as sort of a few kind of, this is always a problem with people wanting to take control of something when, opportunistic business people that see money and do a lot of, efforts to control the process. So it was also steered away from the open source aspects, unfortunately. But there has been now a few, there are some examples of actually, just the bubbles insulating a few greenhouses. Yeah. 2 small examples in a school, or 2 different schools. A third one in a university, it's almost completed. And a larger one with 1,200 square meters. That has again proven that it can reduce the energy need for full year production with over 80%. But they don't use the possibility to collect the solar gain as they should do. And they don't either manage to control the humidity as the potential of the full kind of, all the methods that Richard wants to see in a complete system. Yeah. So I have not been directly involved in that initiative either now for quite a few years. But now in the process of kind of starting up again, and have a few people around me that are wanting to get practical. So hopefully we'll get going very soon.
Yes, indeed. And one of the people, of course, that Anne introduced early, when I started working in Norway was Rita Westbik. She did reply, she's retired and certain health issues and doesn't, join in, but is still a real champion, I would say, for our future success in Norway and the world. Yeah. So yeah, we have some woman warriors in our midst. Yeah. Appreciated very much. Yes, Richard Hogan, let's hear from you.
Yeah. Testing, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey. Yeah, I want to just say such gratitude for you folks all showing up with all your wonderful talents and gifts, and I really can sense that we have come a long way to get here now. And, if it wasn't for early on the experience of life on a nuclear submarine, that had a role of getting me to this particular place and working together with Richard and I now since the early 2000s. And 450 days, 300 feet down, and mutual assured destruction for emission had to be engaged in a very opposite kind of way. And so this solar technology of SolaRoof is really at the opposite end of the spectrum of the deployment of nuclear navy and this mutual assured destruction stuff that it goes nowhere but charcoal. Yeah, so that led me then to, over a number of years, to be committed to peacemaking work at a variety of levels and dimensions. And by 1977, it was a full-on commitment to do such. And that was the best choice I ever made, to walk away from the war system and the roots of violence to go with it. So we've got an amazing opportunity here to co-create a future of Earth care and regeneration for all. And my little part of that continues, and lots of interesting and moving stories that I've experienced. And I look forward to what will emerge in our conversations and actions together. And we got a hold of a very good thing here, and thanks to the persistence of Richard and some others, we've got a pathway mapped out, refined enough to get underway.
Yeah, Richard is a Quaker. He's been involved in Quaker Earth. What is it? Earth protection, Earth care.
Earth care, yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Earth care and regeneration have been melded together in my work for decades now, and the Quakers have been a part of that and continue to be. It's regenerative nonviolence as a refinement of nonviolence, and digging deeper.
And also he has quite a wonderful connection with veterans, of course. And I think there's a big, well, I don't know, do we have anyone on the call from our from LA, from Los Angeles and California? I don't know who's
Andrew, but Andrew said he couldn't.
Yeah, Andrew is busy. Apparently he's tied up in another thing.
Oh.
Well, I was, but now here I am. Hello, family. How are you?
Good to see you.
Yes, I'm here from Los Angeles. And hello, Richard Hogan. It's so good to see you again, my brother.
Likewise.
Bruce Burlow, of course. Yourself, Richard, Audrey, and Corey Smith, my brother from Bermuda. And Carla, thank you so much for this opportunity, for letting the United States be the place that drives us to the future. I was born here in Georgia, Macon, Georgia. So I have Gullah Geechee, I have Indigenous, I have Irish, I have Aborigine. So I'm everything you're doing.
Yeah, that's that part we don't talk about so often. The other parts of our culture. Yeah, appreciate you being here.
Of course. Well, Richard, you asked from someone from LA, but I do want to speak also to what Richard Hogan just mentioned, the nuclear impact on what we're doing, right? But we have to go back further. It was back actually after Japan experienced a nuclear holocaust, as you may know, in 1945, that people in Sendai decided they wanted to be a part of what was then the United Nations, but they couldn't get in. So that's when the UNESCO was created. People of civil society that were taking the future into their own hands, just as everyone on this call is.
Yes.
So I do want to let you know that as we think about what we're doing, Carla, the rest of the world, except the United Nations, except the United States, has been focused on what they call the Sustainable Development Goals, right? Everyone in the world except us, right? But a recent study shows that here in the United States, the ones that are left furthest behind in the first place, none of the 50 states in the United States are even halfway towards accomplishing the Sustainable Development Goals. The ones left furthest behind are Indigenous, African American, Hispanic people, just like they are around the world. But we are the solution as well. So Carla, count me in on making sure that we are actually the soul of America, because once we get it right, it gets right for everybody else.
Yes.
So count me in. Oh, but my company, PRXTC Export Trading Company, is here also to connect that dot with Richard. Sir Bailey is not here with us, but through my presidency of the 5 Points Youth Foundation, right, we made a commitment to work from the bottom up, or as Corn would call it, bubble up from the bottom.
Love that. Bubble up.
Bubble up.
But finally, after 12 years of working online, create what's called the Andrew Networks. There's a hashtag, you can find us, right? Richard, we have about 2,000 members on Facebook in a group that started from the Encounter think tank, which is where Richard was introduced to us through Lynn Crandall, and then I introduced him to Corin, and it kind of all blossomed from there. But now we have 5,000 family members in the Philippines, in the area where the Negritos actually began the population of that, the San Andreas Mountains. We have over 5,000 students and their families that we're providing water, Wi-Fi, electricity, and broadband services to right this second. So we have a big family, but we were devastated by the recent typhoon. So now, as we are talking here online, right, there are people that are still without power 2 weeks later that we're finally being able to deliver some solutions to. So that's what I'm working on this morning. So excuse me, I'm here, but I'm focused on saving lives right now. Thank you. I'm here.
Okay. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, I just had another hello from Rita, saying that she is sorry that she's not attending here.
Richard, if you don't mind, if we would just take maybe 15 minutes so that everybody could introduce themselves.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking and I'm seeing people that I don't know and I would like to know.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Aubrey, anyone who puts up their hand, and let's have everyone who wants to introduce also introduce. Yes, we need that.
Okay, who's...
I can start off. No worries. Introduced as Ian. My name is Ian Brown, of course. Currently, I work for Bell Communications. That's the biggest telecommunications company in Canada. 15 years in telecommunications, and I'm happy to work with Richard and assist him. Right now, what we're doing, my understanding, is getting a prototype, or at least a pod built in Alberta with someone I've introduced to the group. So Angus, I guess he's busy. He has about, I believe, 7 children. So,
7 children.
But so, and I think the 8th is on the way. So he's a very busy man. But yeah, so my part here is simply to assist. I remember, gosh, how many years ago, over a decade, where, as Richard said, he was simply thinking about the residential side of things, right? And of course, I'm simply here to hopefully, assist in any additional way that I can. All right, so I thank you so much for everyone attending.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
Next, Marcel? Or...
Okay, I'm from Europe in the Netherlands, and I'm working on restoring the green water cycle of nature. So that's based on the same principles as the SolaRoof is working. And as long as we're talking in nuclear powers, then I always use the metaphor expression that at this moment the Brazilian rainforest is evapotranspiring per second, equivalent of 15 nuclear atomic bombs the size of Hiroshima of water vapor into the air. And when that water vapor connects to organic aerosols, it releases the energy, forms very strong clouds, and that reflect the sunlight. And we, mankind, did not only cause harm by emitting carbon dioxide, but also by destroying large-scale biodiversity, 9 million square kilometers, 13 times the size of France. It destroyed the cooling capacity of the green water cycle. So what Richard and the others are doing within the SolaRoof, that resembles what nature is doing on a big scale. So our mission with Green Water Cools is that we restore the landscapes in a smart way, so that we start the green water cycle once more. And for that you have to make sure that you have forest at place, but also agroforestry. And so it's it's all about biodiversity. Biodiversity that produces water vapor and organic aerosols. And you also have to connect cities together, because if you don't connect all the elements to large surface areas, then the water will not flow, the water pump will not flow. So that's what we're working on with Green Water Cools. And Richard, I think it was last week that he called me and told me about that he also saw the work that we did, and we're now talking about how to integrate those elements within the Green Water Cycle. And I would love to set up a kind of conference center where we can have real prototypes of what we're doing with also with the bubbles, but also showing what green water is giving, what nature is doing for society for cooling Earth, and at the same time showing what you can do within your house, within a greenhouse, bring green water inside. So that will be a perfect fit. So that's in a nutshell what we are doing. And my background is from the institutional world, and I'm used to work in big money, run portfolios for pension funds, and try to create the awareness within the pension industry, institutional world, investment industry, policymakers, that you can restore our climate much faster, cheaper when you restore the green water cycle.
Yeah. Thank you, Marcel.
And if you want to see more, there's a 5-minute video on greenwatercools.org where you can see the principles of how green water cools are planned.
Marcel, if I could ask, what is your general feeling when it comes to, I guess, the business environment where you are in terms of their focus? Is it more on profits or more on preserving the planet in your mind?
Well, I've got 30 years of experience in responsible investing, and I started on a macro level. And from my point of view, as long as we are talking about the fact that money has to do good, and you need to have intention, then that's a signal that the system is broken. Because as long as the rules of the game are not inherently good, then you have this kinds of discussion. So at this moment, what our system is good at is in optimizing scarce resources. But we haven't calculated in our system the real value of nature. And nature is not only, people are talking about natural-based solutions and the values of nature. And then they're talking about food, water, etc. But don't talk about cooling. There's no holistic view. So as long as there is no holistic view on the real value of nature, then all the profit will not be aligned with society. So take all the sustainable development goals, you can forget realizing them if the rules of the game are not implicitly correct. And we developed for that reason the future coefficient. So what in the financial world, we're talking about responsible investing, ESG, investing in environmental, social governance, impact investing, etc. As long as we have to talk about that, that's a signal that the rules of the game are not aligned with our future. So as long as profit is not aligned with doing good, implicit, we're playing the wrong games of the wrong rules of the game. So we should not talk about is a company or an institutional investor focused on profit. You should focus on profit and at the same time have a 100% implicit goal for the future. That should be our target. That's a lesson from what I've learned from over 30 years. And every investment manager, pension fund or whatever was talking about ESG. It's bringing a drop of water to the ocean. That pension fund, that asset manager should say we are playing with the wrong rules of the game. And they should stand next to Heineken or Unilever or Heinz or whatever, if they are willing to change the rules of the game and say, okay, we want to make food that is inherently good, that cools our planet, that makes sure that the social elements are in line. but you should not blame a company that is building a product within the means of the law that is not aligned with the future, because we're all to blame. That we should vote for the right people to change the rules of the game. We should, as employers, be within companies, change the rules of the game. With your pension money, you should change the rules of the game.
I would suggest, if I may, that we really move towards looking at profit in a different way. Profit is not a fiat. Profit is really making sure that we have a healthy relationship with nature as human beings on this earth, so that we can have it for generations to come, versus sacrificing that for some monetary gain by a few. We have to really change our concept of profit. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts, Marcel, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
Right, and that's exactly what I mean. So as long as profit is not aligned with the future, then the profit has no value.
Yeah, we're doing introductions. David, you're here, and yeah, Felix, I see your hand.
Hi, I'm David Betts. I've been working with Carla since the beginning of time, right, Carla? So we're getting very close to being ready to actually build that first building Richard was talking about. As soon as we've got the information, I think the city of Columbus is ready to go forward. What's your thoughts, Carla?
The city of Columbus, Ohio, historically has been a market research area for the USA. And at one point in time, it was said that if a company could make it in Columbus, Ohio, it could make it anywhere in the country. I don't know if that meant the world, but at least in the country. And, for a lot of successful companies, that's true. And the city is excited about what we're trying to do. There are some requirements that we really need to kind of hunker down and, be able to assess in terms of a financial assessment, the cost of doing business, the details of the build, and what that looks like, on a very intricate level. And so I appreciate you being here, to kind of center that for us, because as the architect on the prototype that we're building in Columbus, it's a very important part of the build of the process to, build this thing so that we can get the financing.
Well, I'm basically everybody's got this idea that this is going to go everywhere. The idea is going to go everywhere, but every site is different. We need to make this one happen in the smallest format to be a micro of any major development in the future. This is going to be expensive, but it's not going to be real expensive. We've spent thousands of hours among all of us in the development of this thing that Aubrey's already got working. Now we just have to take the bits and pieces from it and put it on the building, so that it generates the product that we're trying to accomplish, not in a mass scale, at a micro scale.
Yeah, as an example.
Yeah, as a very good example.
Yeah.
And so we need the money just to get the first step, this was a baby step, but it's still a big step for a baby.
I mean, Columbus, Ohio is a big step because there are businesses like Ohio State University is a huge agricultural, they have a huge agricultural studies that is really, robust, and we could partner with them. We have other entities like Battelle Institute. I think there's another, there are so many places that really have their headquarters there in Columbus, Ohio, that are looking forward to, innovation through technology. And if we are able to showcase this there in that particular city, I think that we would be smart to make that happen.
Yeah.
Carla,
let's continue with introductions, Carla.
Felix raised the hand actually.
Yeah, so. And we'll come back to projects, but
sorry, I'm passionate, sorry, and I'm sleepy. All right, okay, sorry. Yeah.
We'll have a follow-up call and we'll focus in on the projects as well. But I think it is great to hear from everybody on this call. It'd be really great. Felix? Oh, your sound isn't very clear, Felix.
Yeah, not very clear.
Not very clear.
There it is. There it is.
Is it? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Not very well.
Yeah.
Okay. Batty, let's please tell us about your world, which is so interesting in the crypto community.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm humbled and grateful to be among all these great minds, brilliant minds, trying to collectively solve one of the biggest problems that we humans and the whole planet that we are facing today.
Yes.
So in terms of introduction, before pandemic hit, I was leading a solar company as a CEO and founder of a solar company, doing innovative solar installation with various different types of applications. And after pandemic, everything got kind of ruined, and I was looking for a job, and I landed a job in Web3 crypto company. And after a couple of job changes, I landed with an organization called FutureQuest, although I'm no longer there at FutureQuest now, just left yesterday. So the idea of FutureQuest was to kind of support projects by funding, by marketing, sales, or any kind of requirement that the project has, for specifically the projects which are climate focused, which are planet focused, which are community focused, which are kind of looking at the problems from a very unique perspective, and which are developing very unique and scalable solutions. And Richard's project, the PyraPODs, was one of the very interesting projects, and I had done everything I could to present the beauty of the project to the decision-making team. And now it remains to be seen whether this project is accepted or not. Regardless, I'm very, whenever Richard starts speaking about the disconnect of modern day humans from the nature, I just cannot help but listen. I mean, I become the elephant in the room with the biggest ears, literally. I mean, I love listening to. I also had the opportunity to, listen to Marcel and amazing work that he's doing to kind of realign the focus of, pension funds and other organizations towards planet positive actions. And so happy to listen to everyone and contribute wherever best I can. Apart from this, I'm also leading a collective of 16 different projects All the projects are smallholder, farm, and agroforestry-based regenerative projects. And together, as a collective, we are studying how we can incentivize these regenerative processes so that all the smallholder farmers and agroforestry projects around the world can benefit in this direction, can be encouraged to do the regenerative practices in their farms and agricultures. And yeah, that is what I'm doing. Thank you for the opportunity, allowing among brilliant folks. Thank you.
Okay, Felix, how's your sound now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
oh, yeah.
Now.
Yeah, great. All right. So, yeah, I wanted to speak to the potential conflict between profit and saving the world and this disconnect. And in the end, like one way to talk about it is internalizing externality. So that's the, let's say, conventional approach in economics to do so. And this is pretty much what I'm researching in my doctoral studies. That is about crypto commons protocols. So these are protocols, market protocols often, that where individuals participate following the private interest or private profit motives, but by mechanism design, you also have a common benefit that could be carbon sequestration, that could be raising funds to some shared purpose, and so on. So it certainly doesn't work for every problem, but some of these problems can be hacked, so to say, by developing market mechanisms that change the rules of the game in a way. So that's what I do in my research, and around that research I started building the Crypto Commons Association, which is now running a hub in the Austrian Alps for the first year. Now we're finishing our first year, and throughout this first year, we want not to remain exclusively focused on crypto, but rather explore adjacent technologies and mostly open source technologies, and develop this hub in direction of an eco hub, but also and mostly as a showroom for emerging technologies. And that's also what brings me here to this call, that I'm very interested in building a prototype of the PyraPOD here to show to local farmers and to greenhouses nearby, because I do think that this needs to be seen and touched, and people react completely differently once they see something actually working, as opposed to just a YouTube video or a plan. Yeah, and on the other hand, like I'm also working on a biochar project that is working on closing the phosphorus cycle, so to stop us from mining phosphorus and then in the end dumping it on landfills. And I'm happy to be here. I'm also in the committee of the Refi Spring DAO, or Refi Spring Group, which is raising funds for regenerative projects. So if there's any interest in raising donations, raising funds within crypto, I could potentially be of help.
Thank you.
Just to be brief, I have to run in a minute because we have dinner. We have dinner in a few minutes.
See you, Marcel.
I put in the chat a link to the future coefficient, what I was talking about. So that's the idea. And Felix, I would love to have a chat later on this topic, and also with Carla. But I have to run in a few minutes. I will get a signal, and I will leave.
Okay.
But thank you for inviting.
Thank you so much for being here, Marcel.
Bye, Marcel.
Look.
Bruce, are you there?
Yeah, Bruce.
Hey, so Bruce is right here in Montreal, and okay, you're muted, Bruce. And okay,
yeah, okay, yeah. Just I'm like involved in food sovereignty. I'm on the CA of our local Top de Quartier in Verdun. So we're building a co-op with the city, the government, and we're trying to get that off the ground. I'm writing a book about carbon cycle science and 5 natural net emission technologies. Yeah. It just I'm I'm also involved with extracting protein from leaves. As there's one protein that's it's 50% of the leaf weight. It's called rubisco. It was actually termed in the late 70s. It so happens to be complete, like the same protein profile as beef, and it's highly digestible. Like this is what, like this is why herbivores could just solely eat grass and that. Like this could be a huge alternative protein source. So I'm trying to get interest in that, and it's also the molecule that sucks carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and from the oceans and the terrestrial environment. So this could be huge. Like imagine how I could support regenerative agriculture. You could actually extract it from alfalfa, from cover crops, and have a different food source, because food stresses around the planet, it's like they're mostly assessed in terms of proteins, like the protein content. So from a thermodynamic perspective, right away we have a massive amount of abundance. Yeah. So I'm it just like that's what came out of my book. I've been working for the last 3 years. I'm kind of curious. I'm a science nerd. So
Bruce, I gotta ask you a question, because you're talking about something that I don't understand. When you talk about this food source, is it really something that was created? Is it something created for human consumption? Or, I mean,
it's actually the most common protein. It's an enzymic complex. It's the most common protein complex on the planet. Normally, depending on how much vegetation you eat in your diet, you'll routinely eat between 5 and 30%.
Let me be an intermediary here. What Bruce is saying is that if we were like herbivores and we ate leaves, but that's a whole protein, it's a whole food. But what we human beings do is focus on grains, which are not proteins, right?
It's like leaves only have like maybe 4% of their weight in proteins. So like herbivores, they have the digestive tract, like to extract the protein. So I'm involved with Greens for Good. Like we're working on leaf protein extractor. Like it just I might have actually extracted rubisco and purified it in my girlfriend's kitchen. Except
that's really weird, Bruce. Okay, it's really weird. Listen, can I just eat mushrooms? What about mushrooms? Do they have protein?
Yeah. It's.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you one-on-one, because you're a guy that I could really be entertained by. Let's table that conversation about this stuff you're talking about.
I'm going to eat my protein. So bye bye.
Bye bye now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Marcel.
Thanks, Marcel.
Bruce, you're an interesting guy. You're talking a language I totally don't understand. But if you're saying that it's better than mushrooms, then I want to talk to you. If it is something that is like weird and beyond,
Green food.
something,
Green food.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I haven't experienced a lot of foods. I've only known foods from America.
Yeah.
So, I'm open to learn.
Yeah.
Well, I should say that what Bruce is mentioning is definitely higher in protein than mushrooms, so no worries there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like
Bruce, could I actually market that in the ghetto, in the hood, among African Americans or people outside of the scientific environment?
I can answer that actually. I believe you can. It all depends on what packaging you provide it in, right? It's something that's I would say a lot more health benefits there than other things that are available in certain locations, right? So I actually understand Bruce's language very well, but as mentioned, for the sake of time, I'm sure we can all reconnect on that subject at some point.
No, that's awesome. Thank you.
And raise the hand. So, Carla?
Yeah, I was just wondering, did you actually mention the name of that plant with 50% protein? I thought you said it twice. But
it's actually a molecule in the Calvin cycle of photosynthesis. So it's actually 50% of protein content in it just like the other,
right? Any leaf, right? Any
protein is rich.
You have to extract it.
Complete.
Okay.
In protein. So it's Rubisco. It's
we have a new
We might get there one day, but probably not in my lifetime. Okay.
Well,
more introductions. More people want to say hello.
We have a newcomer. He didn't type in his name, but just room user.
That's Riddell.
Oh,
Riddell.
Okay.
Yes, of course. Hi, Riddell. There you are.
Yeah.
All right. This is another Napper family team member. All right. You're muted, Riddell. You want to say hello? Yeah, please.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, you've already been talking to our team leader, Carla.
Yeah.
She's leading the charge for us. We are excited about developing two projects along with the SolaPOD technologies, which are both commercial in scope. One is on our family farm that we've owned since the 643 acres down south.
Yeah.
And then, of course, with the more recent acquisitions 2 generations ago in Columbus, Ohio, which we're one of doing a city pod, and then also city pod in the area of Maryland, where I reside personally.
Mm.
So we're very excited about learning from you folks and how you can help us, and what progress is being made and how we can implement and develop successful projects.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I've got another project that may be imminent for us, but right now we're going through the pecking order process because it's in foreign countries on a continent across the waters. But as with all things, when you go into another country, you got to go through the political pecking order in order to get in and establish what you're trying to do. We're presenting them currently with these technologies, but there again, it may be 2 weeks away. It might be 2 years away. Because we don't, when you don't control the politics, you got to do as you're told. And I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and with that though, we are really asking to lead the charge in innovation in countries, specifically Africa and the Americas, where we typically don't get in on the front end of innovation, but there's certainly opportunity and creativity there that could expand across the world. and we want to be a part of that. And so that's why we're so excited to be a part of this group. And we know that in Columbus, Ohio, and in Alabama, we are making, you know, those connections so that as soon as we get all of the specifics that we need to move forward, that people are ready to help us move forward. We just don't have some of the answers to the questions that they're asking of us. And so that's why we're here, to try to get a collective answer to some of the things like the pricing of those specific equipment and materials needed to move it forward, if that makes sense.
It does, yes. There's a clarity that's needed to activate, you know, people to go forward, right? And that is the challenge right now. So we do need these demonstration projects, and we can start small and simple. And then once we get action in any particular team, that can lead to more qualitative developments of the technology as well. So you go from what is the simple case to the more advanced technologies that we can implement. And so it's a process, right? But we have to start at the beginning, and we gotta get these projects secure in a sense of in the community, you know, that they're going to remain open source, and we'll be able to build globally based on a shared experience, right?
Yeah, and so really what the answer is, we really don't know yet what the cost would be, because we have not had the experience, you know, to the point where we can say with confidence, you know, we can project all we want, but when we actually go to market with a build and someone says, I want to buy this, how much does it cost? We really can't say with real confidence what that looks like, right?
Exactly. Until you have all kinds of projections, we have estimates, that's clear. But until you've built, then you have as built costs. And that's when people believe you, when you've got actual experience backing what you're saying. And so that's why we're going to build now, starting with PyraTunnels, which are film covered. Then we can do the PyraPODs, which are fabric covered systems. There's always transparent, right? All these materials are transparent materials technology, but we can go in a sequence where, you know, we don't have to do all of the innovation at one time. Where we can get, you know, some of it under our belt, right? We can use that then to go forward. And also the people around us looking at us say, oh yeah, we see the bubbles, we see what they do. Yeah, they do decrease the heating, cooling by a factor of 10 times. You see, when you have people confident in that, and they can see it working, and you know, you can say to them, yes, it's working. We are operating. We know that it's, that's different than saying we think, you know, we think it's going to do this or that. We've extrapolated, we predict that it will. So we have to get to that level, right? Which is the next level of implementation. This is the innovation pathway, right? Innovation pathway. If it takes a lifetime, then it takes a lifetime. We have to get it done. You know, it's not about talking, it's about doing. And we're focused now with the people. Aubrey and I are focused on supporting and having a, you know, also business relationship, which we do with those who want to take action, right? And build, and of course it's an opportunity for commercial and enterprise development. We don't
Richard, let me ask you a question. If we had someone who right now was willing to invest in this opportunity to be experiential,
a physical build, a build.
Okay. And they said, how much money should I allocate to this project? Do you have any, I mean, it doesn't have to be an exact answer, but if
I give you an exact answer, because I would say to them, that the first step should be of any team to gain their confidence and knowledge about the technology is to build the Pyra Tunnel.
Yes.
It's the project that Aubrey is implementing near Edmonton. We're building one here in Montreal. Anyone in this call could build a Pyra Tunnel. If you have somewhere, right? You need a site, of course. And the cost, you asked about the cost. Well, Aubrey, we've got two types. We've got a full basement type, and we've got a half or zero basement, you could say, just on grade.
Yeah.
If you do the one like we're doing here in Montreal, it's just the tunnel, right? It's a very simple poly. Well, actually, Anne, it looks like what we did at Linden, right? It's not that much different, really, right?
Can I ask a question and when I say a question, this is more of a comment and an input so that you could see where Carla is going when we talk about pricing. Things cost something. But in order for you to, go to people that can fund these types of projects on the scale that we're talking about, you got to go to organizations that are institutional and they have underwriting requirements. Let me give you for instance of my own personal daily and when I say daily dealings, in my other life, which I'm supposed to be retired, but they won't let me retire. This Wednesday, I have to attend a United States Senate briefing on correspondent banking and financial institution. And this addressed to me, dear friend and colleague, I trust that this communication finds you well in the best of health and spirits. Please see below a registration link for the upcoming Capitol Hill briefing during the upcoming World Bank/IMF annual meeting. The briefing is slated to take place on Wednesday, October the 12th, which is this coming October 2022. Official program start is 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are confident that you will find the program agenda worthwhile as the briefing will cover regional issues related to, note, Africa/Latin America/the Caribbean in the areas of Region 1 sovereign wealth and strategic investment funds. Number 2, correspondent banking, attracting foreign investment. Number 3, critical infrastructure systems, mitigating ransomware attacks in the banking/financial community. We will also hear direct comments from regional officials and subject matter experts. Seating capacity is limited, so make sure that you registered sooner than later. All the best, Aaron. So, when I'm going to these types of issues, these are the issues that are, like I said, some of these things are done nationally. This is international. So, these people are talking in the billions of dollars, but they're also talking about where the billions of dollars going to go.
Yeah.
It could go into these projects that you gentlemen and ladies are talking about. But in order to do that, you've got to have, if not underwriting proposal ready documents, you can't go in there and answer a question that is nebulous. And when I say nebulous, I mean, you need to have specifics. Now, of course, if you're, I'm in the hotel business and with my wife on another one of our family businesses. If you build a hotel in Atlanta, Georgia, as we're on paper to do right now within the Aerotropolis zone, that hotel costs radically different, even though it's the same number of rooms, the same square footage in Washington, D.C. versus Atlanta, Georgia. So what Carla is saying to you is we need to be able to nail down within a certain, parameter. What is it going to cost? I remember one time, Richard, you told us about, in the commercial area, 2.3 was a unit. And I said 2.3 acres, US. So what does that cost us to invest in one unit, which we want to expand to, at a minimum, a 10-acre site. So 10, units would cost us, $3 million complete, done, finished.
Well, let me try to answer that, because what you're talking about is due diligence, right? To get a project
exactly underwriting due diligence.
Yeah, any project has to pass a due diligence test, of what do they know? Do they know how to implement it? Is everything accurate? Is everything solid? And that is normal for projects that are at a commercial stage. We are at an early innovation stage, and our ability to answer normal due diligence is, of course, limited. And we all have to recognize that. And we don't say we're ahead of where we are. We have to encounter the task where we are, not where we want to be.
Yeah.
Where we are. So what that means is innovations and inventions, and mine are inventions, right? They're not just innovation. Inventions are things that have never been seen or done before, really.
Yeah.
And we're still in an early stage, even after 40 years, right? Yeah. Even after the work Aubrey and I are doing, after I've built already about 12 projects around the world, we're still in an early stage, meaning we don't have enough documentation. We don't have enough scientific analysis. We don't have enough expert opinion about the data that we did.
Product. Yes.
We don't have a commercial product.
Is that really true?
Yes, it's really true.
No, I'm asking because we know that there are some builds that are operating commercially. We just don't know how much it costs them.
No, we have idea. We know, like Anne knows what it costs to build Linden. We built a project in Linden. I was just saying to her, the projects we're now proposing, which is the PyraTunnel, okay, that Aubrey and I have designed. So it's designed by PyraPOD. You got two of the most knowledgeable people telling you the best way to build the first thing you want to do. This would be the best way to get a good experience.
I trust you. I hear you and I trust you. However, there are people who are not on this level. They are trying to find out what it would cost so that they can go to the ones with the money.
That is the problem. We're not ready to talk.
No, listen, let me tell you. Here's the thing. We can overestimate. That's fine to overestimate. And then if we come in under that, that's great. Yeah. We can build enough room for contingency stuff, but at the end of the day, we want to come in under science and innovation, so that we can save the environment or whatever the cost is.
Well, okay, let me put it on record.
You feel me?
Let me put it on record, okay? Because we're recording this, and you can come back and listen to this again. And I have been saying for a long time, well, we did a project in Cambridge, right, in England, in around 2004 or so. And we had Dutch supplier doing the project. It was 800 square meters, about 8,000 square feet. And I know the costs there. I don't have sort of the, records, but I have my good recall, right? And they said, well, we're going to build it like a Dutch glass house. And they said, well, the standard Dutch glass house is costing about $5 a square foot. So that's US dollars, per square foot. So, okay, we need to translate that into meters, 10 times, say, $50 per square meter. And then that's just for the structure. That's just getting a glass structure with an aluminum structure and glazing, glass glazing, and putting it all up according to the Dutch glass house Venlo system, which is in use everywhere in the world, right? And tens of thousands of meters. So that's why the Dutch supplier could say it's $50 a square meter, right? But then it's also mechanicals. If you build a structure, you have to control the environment. So, it's another $5 to put in all the typical installations. And these are wholesale prices, right? These are industrial, really established, mature price, right? So,
but Richard, if someone said to you, I'm going to give you the money you need to do this,
let me finish, okay? Because this is, you can go back and read and listen again. And so we've got the knowledge of the structure, $5. We got the knowledge of the mechanicals, $5. We then also have the construction, the actual construction. They said $15. They said if you can do it for $15 a square foot, okay, so $150 per square meter approximately. And I said, look, we can do it for $20, right? $20 a square, $200 a square meter. And you know what? We did it. We did it in that budget. That wasn't my money. It was a consortium doing it and so on. And you know, but we monitored the price and the cost. We had our projected costs, and then we came out with our actual cost. But what's missing in these kind of developments is documentation, and documentation that the people doing the project are willing to share.
Yeah,
they're willing to share it, right? I am not the owner of the project. It was funded by a consortium. I am guiding the project. And it was done in an open source commitment, you know, the contract papers, you know, signed by everyone. So it's open source, that they would share all the results, share the documentation of the cost and of the outcome and so on. And they didn't do that. In the end, one party made a real effort to gain control of the outcomes, right? And so I was left again with nothing, so to speak, right? Because a project like that falls apart. I'm pushed out. You know, lucky enough, right, that we had Shell Foundation on the team, and Shell Foundation stepped in and did an arbitration agreement, and it was agreed that the party after the technology could not get the technology, that they realized that it was in fact open source, and they could not take a monopoly on that technology, right? So that was finally agreed. But, you know, still that company that we were working on their property, a big greenhouse operation in England, you know, Anne knows some of the story about this. So you know, so that's the outcome, is that a huge effort of my time for years, a huge effort of a consortium is ruined by greed. Right? It could have been so much more, but it fell apart, basically. I was pushed out. The people wanted it, couldn't get it. You know, how sad is all of this? Then I go to Norway, and similar things happen, right? Similar things, not as bad as that, not as, you know, sort of, you know, but still, the open source component is not recognized, that I'm doing this so that we can share this technology, so that we can avoid a famine around the world, a global famine. The world's never been a global famine. Okay. And the cost of doing this is extremely reasonable. That has never been the issue. All of these groups that came in to work with me were motivated to make money on it. Yeah.
Of course, but okay, and I get that. I get that from all sides. But here's what I want to say to you. What if we had the opportunity, and perhaps we do, to get a line of credit on an exploratory basis that says, you know, we're going to allocate or budget this much money as a project, exploratory project or whatever. And we're really good at handling the budget, because we, you know, I'm going to tell you one thing about African Americans. If we don't do nothing else, we know how to make $1 out of 15 cents. Okay. We're good at that. And so I'm really confident that if we're given a reasonable projection, that really makes sense for us. That we can meet, or, you know, given some things that we need to know, like, you know, how much does the materials cost? Some things that we can really evaluate without having, and that's where we are. And I think that's the place where you and I a disconnect because of your experience that I really don't know anything about, but you do, you know, in terms of fiduciary responsibility when it comes to money and you not getting what you needed from it. But let's wash that past away and deal with the people that we're dealing with who are Christian and trying to do things to not necessarily profit as much as change the trajectory of wealth for some people and enhance the environment in a real way. Given those things, that if we approach it that way, I think we can come up with a number that's at least reasonable, that we can get that line of credit and get this project started, because at the end of the day, we gotta have the numbers.
Yeah. Okay, Riddell, what's your input on this one?
Well, first of all, you know, from a purely business aspect, I can, you know, I've got more war stories about, you know, getting jacked up. I'll use that term, you know, flim-flammed or whatever you want to call it, out of money. So that's not the issue. I mean, but I also know how to do business properly and have done it at levels that I have both reputation and understanding. And quite frankly, before most deals are done, it's lawyered up. I mean, and that's just a cost of doing business, that you lawyer certain things up before you go beyond a certain proposal stage. That being said, I do also respect you and I admire you for your humanitarian bent in what you're trying to accomplish. That when you start talking about the bottom basis of this is about feeding people. That being said, I understand. And, you know, even on this one, the biggest project that I'm personally working on, that we're wanting to utilize your technology and your invention that has the most people tied to it. And when I say the most people, I'm not talking about hundreds of thousands. I'm literally talking about millions. I'm talking about millions of people. And, you know, we're working, like I said, through governments and things of this nature, but by all means, it's going to cost something. And if it's going to cost something, then you should be paid. You should be paid. Whether it's in XYZ country or whether it's in, you know, ABCDF country, if you understand what I mean.
Alabama.
But yet at the same time, somebody's got to pay for it, even though you're feeding poor people.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe I can just quickly, you know, give you figures, right? You asked for figures for this project in Redwater, right? On this farm, on this empty land, we set up a GoFundMe project, and we asked for $10,000. You know, so I mean, with that much money, we have to really do it properly, right? We just purchased the used you know, like a sea container, right? And we're searching for anything free, like a free installation board, right? You know, you see, with a restricted you know, money, right? Then you do things accordingly, right? Yeah. So that's something we're hoping that, and then volunteer. You know, how do you calculate the human cost, right? I came here for nothing, right? I just want to work for this project. I don't want anyone to pay me, because I want to work for this project. I want to see this project finished. So that
I'd like to ask for $1 million, Aubrey.
Yeah.
I would like to ask for $1 million to have a turnkey operation with trees in the front, a logo, a nice little thing, you know. And if I can come in under $1 million, great.
Yes.
You know, and it really is great. But at the end of the day, if I have an opportunity to get this money, I don't want to pass it up, because I'm afraid to say I want $1 million and I can justify the reason for wanting the $1 million. I can say I want the $1 million to do, the pavement, the trees, the garage, all these intricate details. I want to be able to justify why I need the $1 million versus I don't know, and they can't give it to me. That's what we're facing.
Carla.
So
yeah.
here's what we...
Wait a minute. Hold on, Richard. I want David to speak because he's been through this.
Carla and I have been through this, and I know what she wants. She wants the finished product.
Yeah.
Just one. But there's this unknown element that she and I cannot grasp because nobody knows what that dome, how it's erected. What we need is to be told we can do it out of X, Y, and Z, the dimensions, and we will then know the weight of it, and then we'll know how to support it.
Okay.
Now, wait, Richard, wait.
Wait, okay.
The element that we're trying to build is the superstructure. And you're going to put all the other structure inside. And what you're going to put in there hasn't been tested as far as I know, because I've never seen it.
It's been tested. AVS Sandponics. It's been running long time. Okay.
That shape. That shape. I saw
the
video.
Let me try.
The video does not explain what's inside. it just comes up to the inside.
But let's go step by step. Okay, Carla. What we're recommending is we go in a step-by-step process, and Columbus, Ohio property in the city as a farmer's market is the last step, not the first step. Okay, so we will get there, but let's regroup. Let's get on a pathway that gets us to answers. Right, we have to get answers in order to succeed. So let's get on the pathway that gets us the answers. And the first one that I recommend is that we do the Washington, D.C., at the Maryland location with Daniel and his team and the engineering good friends we have there. Riddell, you're on the team, you're right there. We've got the property, family owned and all this, great place to do it. And we build a Pyra tunnel. We have all the design. David can support this design. David, this is not the dome.
Yeah.
This is a tunnel. This is a tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is easier. This is normal greenhousing.
Yeah.
Normal greenhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. With bubbles, of course, with SolaRoof technology incorporated. And Anne is still on the call. Thank you, Anne. It's been a long call. But Anne built one, and she was practically left to build it on her own. And that's the Linden Project, and you've all seen that.
Talk then. I want to know her experience and her expense.
Yeah, what's the cost there?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Anne.
I can't remember the figure of it. It was just 43 square meters.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it wasn't built optimal. And I was sidelined.
No digging, right?
Yeah.
I was sidelined quite early on, so I don't know the full. I don't know the expense of that. What I do know is that the same company that took charge, they now recently got a grant for 1.2 million euros. That should cover 50% of the budget to build 1,000 square meters.
Yeah, 10,000 square feet. So you see, the people that are taking over the technology in Norway are building at a huge profit to themselves, and the technology is so well regarded that that's not a problem for them to get the money and get the funding to do it.
I can also say that I just recently discovered because I took Jenny Carrington to one of the school project, and I was shocked that they had sold a small pilot of, I think, about 40, no, it wasn't even 40 square meters. Okay, we could say it's 40 square meters. They sold that to the school for 2.5 million Norwegian.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
So $250,000 for, and I was just shocked. I mean, this is not sustainable. You know, like the economic factor should be. I know that Richard would be able to.
Yeah. People are taking advantage, right, of the value of the technology to get grants and offer models, you know, implement projects with a big price, you know, attached to that. Now that's the opposite of what we really want to achieve. Yeah, Anne, I'm sorry.
I can also add to that school project that I mentioned for $250,000, 40 some square meters. It was built in hard ETFE plastic, not the flexible, you know. So the cost also depends on of course, the cover materials.
Yes.
And they chose the absolutely most expensive, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
With these ETFE boards, you know, panels.
Look nice.
And you know, let's be fair too. They might have been required to because it's a teaching situation, human occupancy, and that could be part of the issue. And when we build in Columbus, Ohio, in the downtown as a farmer's market, we may not be able to build with polyethylene, you know, and materials that are cheap, that cost less money, and we'll get a different cost, you know. But what I'm talking about right now is that we get experience with the technology by building food, you know, an agricultural purpose. And the farmer's market is an agricultural purpose as well. But again, it is a human occupancy, right? Yeah. It's a market. Yeah. So, but if we build, you know, on the property in Maryland or in Alabama, right, where it's a real farm, then we get experience with the technology. Yeah. We get to know the costing of everything, and then we're in a position to knowledgeably, you know, implement the project in Columbus, and we won't be afraid about a lot of the things because we'll already see the aquaponics working in a Pyra tunnel, you know, just a simple polyethylene covered tunnel. Now, what does that tunnel cost? I think that Aubrey's number of $10,000 to do this project is completely, you know, that's a reliable number. It's doable, completely doable at that kind of price. And we're implementing right now a project about a half an hour distant from where I'm living, exactly the same thing. And we're doing it more simple than Aubrey's doing it.
Yeah.
So, and we're going to document, we're going to be videoing, sharing, and Aubrey's going to publish, you know. I mean, Aubrey's publishing YouTube practically every day, almost every week anyway, because we're very open, right? We're very open source. So we don't care if people learn about how cheap it is and about how they can do it for themselves, right? We don't care because it's open source, and we want that to be the case.
Richard, just how big is that $10,000 tunnel? Because I'm also considering this for us. 9
meters by 6 meters wide.
Okay.
And we'll have all the design. The one we're doing here is basically on grade, right? We're not excavating or anything. We dug for the soap tank to go in the ground. And, you know, remember, Anne, that's what we did too with the project. We had it below the ground, you know, and that's so that it's a very simple gravity drainage for the soap liquid back to the tank. You know, some of these details don't make any sense when I'm talking about them, you know, people that don't know how bubble technology works. But if we guide you through a project, then you know it hands-on, right? You really know what we're talking about. So, so we would like multiple projects. One of the people that couldn't make the call today is Gabor Kiss in Budapest. And he has a great team, and they have a farm property with a school. And that school is going ahead with a number of steps, like bubble fun with the kids. You know, they're actually having the bubble fun. There's making, you know, having fun with bubbles, really, and they're going to also do a what we call a ViviPod, right?
Yeah, ViviPod.
Aubrey?
Yeah, ViviPod.
ViviPod is like a tabletop.
Size. Yeah.
Yeah, tabletop size.
Yeah.
Again, for the kids to see the bubbles moving and flowing, and you know, you could put a plant inside it.
Yeah.
You know, but that's all. You know, it's not that big.
Yeah.
And then of course we want to build ultimately a Pyra tunnel,
yeah,
which will be a good experience. And we build it with the polyethylene film.
Yeah.
So the polyethylene film costs $200 for this, you know, Pyra tunnel. It's not very much for the, you know, the building envelope is the most, well, it's an expensive part of the building, right?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And we can do that envelope almost with no cost, you could say.
Yeah.
So what is the real cost? It's just the framing, right?
Yeah.
The framing of a tunnel. And we all know that that is not costly. It's typically coming in at maybe $1 or $2 a square foot. I mean, really, you know. Now, it's true that metal right now, you know, steel is more expensive, gone up 300% or something like that. But, you know, so it's going to maybe cost a little bit more today, you know, to get the lumber, to get the materials to do it. But it's a very reasonable budget to shelter, to create a climate controlled space that's 9 meters by 6 meters, and which is year round, low energy climate control.
Would you say it was under $1 million or over $1 million for a standard build like I'm trying to do in Columbus, Ohio?
In Columbus, you know, I expect that your project is somewhere around 200,000 to 300,000, something like that, even with our technology engaged in it. And really, David's going to have the numbers, you know, sooner. You know, we're going to regroup, right? We're going to get that. Not saying we're not going to neglect the Columbus development, right? But what we need to do is, in parallel, we need the Maryland project to go. Yeah. with a Pyra tunnel, a simple build, because then the whole team is learning about the bubbles, right? Aubrey and I will guide you through the, you know.
I appreciate that, because that will be more incentive for lenders to be confident in the amount of money that they're willing to risk.
Yeah, because
I'm okay with that. But
Riddell,
we need to be more robust in how we deliver, because I think we have a time sensitive filing with the city that says that we need to start this project within a certain amount of time.
Well, yes, and I want to, like, we can start tomorrow, you know, get Daniel on a call, and that's what we're going to do, and you know, we'll reactivate, right? Because we know what we're doing here. There's none of it's a mystery at all. We've got the 3D drawings, you know, we've got all these designs, and we're building a couple examples, and it's okay for others to also build DIY, you know. In other words, we can do it on an envelope, you know, you can sketch it out, you can build it, because that's how simple we want this to be.
Right, but do we have a cost?
Yes, we have said $1,000 budget.
Okay, what did you say? 100,000? I'm sorry, I forgot.
The $10,000, Carla.
Okay.
10,000.
This is the Pyra tunnel.
Yeah.
It's intended to be a first confident building.
Yeah.
So it's 9 meters by 6 meters footprint.
I realized I should have started something like this. Then I don't need to wait for someone to sew, you know, the cover. See? Because this one does not require sewing. It's just the same, similar, you know, like, you know, similar to any tunnel greenhouse. Just use, you know, film to wrap it around.
Yeah, you use greenhouse film.
Yes.
Not greenhouse fabric.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if Columbus were to do this tunnel just as a experiment, just like and still do it in DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, as a exhibition or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then move to the next.
That's right.
Oh, Carla, we want multiple sites, and we could do in Alabama. We could do it with the University of Alabama. You know, the HB.
Yeah, we could start.
We could do
small, right? Start low cost.
Yeah.
And then
because then you see what you're mobilizing is the brain power surrounding the project, all of the people who will help with the success of our next step, right? So we're building momentum for success with the next step.